Hey, Dr. Jon Finn here. Welcome to the Habit Mechanic podcast. Right now, you can get my new best-selling book, Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, at tougherminds.co.uk. The digital book, audiobook, and physical book are all available at a special price that you won't find anywhere else. Hello, Habit Mechanics. Dr. Jon Finn here. I hope you're having a great week so far. Today, we're going to be talking about how AI is hitting the jobs that humans have traditionally got paid to do. And we're going to think about the role of brain states within that. So we saw an article at the start of this week, which is titled AI is hitting UK harder than other big economies. And this was from a study by Morgan Stanley. And I'm joined today by our head of coaching and our head of education, Andrew Foster. So Andrew's been looking at this story as well. So Andrew, what did you make of this when you read it? What were the headlines for you? Takeaways?
Hi, John. I think it's another data point. I appreciate sometimes people can be a bit overwhelmed by the news environment today, but have a look at this. There you've got an investment bank, Morgan Stanley, who are again putting some of their reputation behind this research that's suggesting that AI is resulting in job losses, particularly in the UK. So if people there's a lot of people out there talking about how AI is going to change everything. There's a lot of people saying the exact opposite, that it's overblown, that it'll be shown to be hype. Well, if you're looking to decide, then you've got to look at stories like this and other stories that we've shared and think these are some big heavy hitters who are on the AI will change things side of the argument.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to point out why we pointing this out is because we want to help people to realize what is going to happen. It's easy to dismiss things, but there's a pattern now and robust sets of compelling data showing that AI is changing the world. And what it's doing very specifically, it's changing how humans are valued. So what this data really says is that businesses are deciding that many of the things they need to get done in their business every day that has only ever been able to be done by humans before now does not have to be done by humans. It can be done by cheaper means via using neural network AI, and that's what's going on. So we're not saying that AI is going to replace all of human jobs. What we are trying to point towards is that it's taking more human roles than anyone was predicting just 12 months ago. And the data is very clear and it's very compelling. And there's something we can do about that by learning about our brain state. So there's a good side of this story, right? But we're starting with what the data is telling us about what's going on for people.
That's absolutely it. I mean, the thing that most struck me, in the article was in a way a sort of secondary reactive thing that it says that 25% of workers were worried about the impacts of AI. And that got me thinking, well, what percentage of that 25% are actually doing something about it? Worrying without action is, just it's it's just unenjoyable and no positive outcome. We need some stress. The reason stress exists is to prompt action, and the people who are taking action now are finding themselves reducing their stress about AI, getting excited about the opportunities to do more enjoyable work, more valuable work, I should say, and and be more fulfilled in and out of the workplace.
Yeah. And there's another article I want to share. And I'm just seeing these things pop up, like I'm sure other people are as well. which has come from the CEO of Anthropic. If anybody uses Claude, that's owned by Anthropic. The CEO of Anthropic is called Dario Amodei, and he wrote a 20,000 word essay, which is explaining why AI is going to cause what he describes as unusually painful disruption to jobs. Now, again, people would say, yeah, but he would say that because he's selling AI. That's a counterintuitive point. I think actually what he's doing, and I've heard this guy speak extensively, and he did a very interesting long form BBC Radio 4 interview where I think he really wants to be in a position where he says, look, you can't say that I didn't warn you about this. And what I found very interesting in his Radio 4 interview was he sort of did a timeline of all the objections to AI over the last few years, which started by saying, yeah, but it can't do this. And then he said, we dealt with that within 6 months. And then, yeah, but it can't do that. And every time there's been this objection that AI tech evolves very quickly and it overcomes it. And one of the things he's stating in that, you can go read the 20,000 word essay if you want, or you can put it into AI and get the summary. He's saying that the best engineer in their company, and they are, I'm not sure what the value is, but it's certainly tens of billions. The best engineer is Claude, their technology. So they've got engineers that have been working in the field for over 50 years. They are the world leading experts in what they do, but none of them are as competent as the tech when they kind of benchmark it. So this data is here. I think what's then interesting, and again, I think this came out in reaction to the very specific UK story, and one of the reasons, and we did predict this when it happened about 18 months ago, one of the reasons that we think the UK jobs market is disproportionately right now affected by AI. But I just think that data is a blip because as business leaders get more confidence in the tech, they'll follow what the UK companies are doing. So essentially in the UK, we're seeing more jobs being lost to AI than are being created. It's very different from the Industrial Revolution, where the Industrial Revolution actually created a lot of jobs. So AI is reducing jobs and actually massively increasing productivity. So productivity is being increased on average by 11.5%. And one of the reasons has been cited that UK businesses, I suppose, are leading the way in replacing more human roles with AI is because the UK government made it more expensive to employ people. They increased national insurance and they increased things like minimum wage and other things. So UK business leaders have decided instead of employing people, we'll find solutions with AI. So in response to this news story this week, the UK government put a press briefing out that they are going to give free AI skills training to about 10 million people in the UK over the next 5 years or so in partnership with big technology companies. I think that's something they'd said before, but I think I was just reminding the press that they were trying to be proactive. But here's the kicker. That's a counterintuitive move. It sounds logical. Okay, people need to get better at using AI. But for me, that is not a first order solution to the problem. Let's recap what's happening. Businesses aren't saying we're going to employ more people that have AI skills. What they're doing is they're looking at the tasks they have traditionally paid humans to do, and they are finding AI and training AI to do those jobs faster and cheaper. what businesses are looking for is humans that can do the things that AI can't, think in a way that AI can't. So that should actually be the government's priority, is to say we're going to train people not only to understand AI, but to think in ways that AI can't. And that brings us back to the main thing that we need to get good at, what we call in science the main effect variable for thriving in the AI era, for becoming irreplaceable, and that's brain state intelligence. So if the government had said this week, we're going to train 10 million people up in brain state intelligence, then that would have been amazing. But they're going down the AI skills route instead. And it's very well intended, I get that, but it's not the right solution. Businesses are not looking for more people with basic AI skills. They're looking for more people who can do what AI can't do. And that's essentially doing more, means that they're looking for people who are really good every day at turning up and getting into their high charge brain states. Yeah, so that's my reflection. And I think from your work, Andrew, you're seeing that even people who are, they look from the outside in as high performers, senior professional people, the people you're working with are starting to realize that the things that they've traditionally done to get to where they've got to are not the things that they need to be doing now to capitalize on the opportunities of the AI era, which I'm sure you can unpack.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I think of some of my clients who've really embraced the brain state terminology and talk a lot about high charge and medium charge activities and how AI helps them maximize their medium charge time. They as you say, the high performers, the smart people, they always knew, a lot of these people knew that part of being successful is being comfortable with change and noticing when you're getting into a rut and and developing your own techniques to get through that. But what they recognize when we work together is that our techniques are there and ready to go and so sharp. And particularly for this AI challenge, brain state management is exactly what they need in order to maximize what they're doing, in order to develop their use of these new AI tools the best that they can and ahead of competitors in the market, and also in order to be able to enjoy their time outside of work and feel fulfilled and be really present with their families. So, so yeah, it's exciting and it's just a continual vindication of of the success cycle of the habit mechanic program, of everything that we've been talking about for some time.
Yeah, and I think if we just go back to the basics, there are 24 hours in a day. That's all we've got. So time is the limiting factor. And in that 24-hour period, the average person who has a job or runs a business, they spend a chunk of that time working in the business. They spend a chunk of that time sleeping, hopefully. And then they spend some of that time doing the things they do outside of work, maybe with the family. And then you've got to fit some sleep and exercise, some exercise and eating in there as well. If we look at the work patterns for most people, what has happened is that I think particularly with the digital age of email and phones and just constant connectivity with everybody, people have slipped into spending more and more of their 24-hour period doing busy thinking and executing busy work tasks, what we call medium charge work. So doing things that don't take a lot of cognitive effort, but you're replying, you're sending, you're scheduling, you're rescheduling, you're sometimes doing work in a way that you're not really paying attention. So you have to then fix mistakes that you've introduced into the workflows. And people are just feeling more and more tired because they're doing more and more of that busy work. They're not sleeping as well as they'd like to. They're not getting as much downtime as well as much downtime as they'd like, etc. And they're not able to get into the brain states that are required to do the complex, high charge thinking that are actually most valuable in helping them to make progress on the things they're working on, to solve the problems that are coming into their inbox, to progress their business, to progress their career. Unable to do that focused work because their brain is just drained. And this is why we think of the brain as being like a battery. So essentially, and if we just recap on the 3 brain states, we've got 3 brain states: recharge, medium charge, high charge. People are spending more and more time in that medium charge brain state every single day. Where does neural network AI come in? Well, neural network AI's superpower is doing medium charge brain state work. So much of the tasks that humans have been conditioned to spend more and more of their time doing at work no longer have to actually be executed by humans. We can now use neural network AI, and specifically, and this is what we've seen a big push for already in 2026 in January, what we call agents. So agents are neural network AI that you can train to do specific procedural repetitive tasks. So we use some agents in our business, and they're running right now, and they are executing things that we would have previously had to have done manually. So reaching out to people, potential leads and customers, messaging those people. And then where the agents are going is that they can not just send a templated message to someone, they can start to have a real conversation with them, just in the same way an expert human would. And that's just one segment of agents. And if we look at that particular use case, a company like Salesforce have actually, go Google it, go look it up. It's very well publicized. They have literally halved their workforce. So they have reduced their workforce by 4,000 people. And they've replaced those 4,000 people with what they call their agent force. So that's a very clean example. You saw this week, Amazon made 16,000 redundancies, which is part of a bigger round. Amazon are one of the leaders in AI technology with Amazon Web Services, and they are scaling agentic AI across the business. And also they've got lots of this into robotics as well, so doing the manual tasks in an intelligent way. That means that it's not just a robot who's just repeating something. It can actually make procedural decisions. So most of the work that humans have conditioned themselves to doing every day at work can now be done faster and cheaper by AI. And we're not just saying that this can happen, it's happening, and we're seeing it seriously impact the jobs market. So what does that mean for humans? It means that we need to get good at doing stuff that AI can't do. So that means we need to build different habits. And the first habits we need to build are around making sure that we can get into the right brain states. So that for most people means more high quality recharge, less medium charge, less time in medium charge brain states, and more time in high charge brain states. And that's why we're at Training Brain for the AI Revolution. That's why we have the 6 Habit Life program to show people how to put that into practice. But we're not just hypothesizing here, I think is what I hear when Andrew speaks. We're doing this in real time. And all the things that we're teaching in the book and in our programs, we've been kind of implementing those ideas with real people, and some of them, 18 months ago were kind of the guinea pigs for this new approach. But they were early adopters of AI, and they got early benefits. You've seen some of the success stories like Eva, $70,000 pay rise, etc. But now it's coming into everybody's life, and it's here and it's real. But it's not something to be scared of, because the solution, I guarantee you, is learning more about your brain states and actually building the habits to support better brain state management. I could see you going to come in there, Andrew. So,
sorry, just brains are funny things, aren't they? I had just the thing to say, and then it escaped me. What was I going to say? It was that I'm thinking about the people you're talking about. These are all people, again, like I said up at the top with Morgan Stanley. They've got skin in the game. It's not of no consequence if they get this wrong. And so the same with my clients. These are people who, often have already been professionally successful, but they've got responsibilities. They're very ambitious. They're often in highly competitive fields. And so they want to know that they're using their time profitably. That includes the time they're spending with me. And so it is, very satisfying to see them taking what we're doing, running with it, and realizing that the time spent is actually a net benefit in time. So working with me for an hour a week is generating hours and hours of extra time to spend, whether that's on professional projects or whether that's being able to close the laptop and spend some quality time with family. And it's, you and I both know we're at a really exciting stage with this in terms of some of the people that we're talking to about next steps. But anyone who's listening to this who thinks, yeah, that sounds a bit like me, and I sound like the sort of person who might benefit, I think you just need to get in touch and let's have a chat. The sooner the better, because the opportunity to work with us, it's how things are now might not be how things are in 6 months.
yeah, I feel that, and I completely empathize with the fact that the word AI and some of the headlines that we're seeing, they're just difficult to understand. What does it mean? What's the implication for me? Or I'll be okay, this won't impact my life. As soon as I started to properly use AI tools, but from the foundation of really well managed brain states, and so using AI tools with a high charge brain state, I could see the power of this technology. And for me, it's just like outsourceable brain power. So instead of using your own brain to do everything yourself, you can outsource some of that. And I could see how it could actually free us up from lots of these mundane, medium charge, busy tasks that we don't enjoy doing, but we've just been habitualized into doing. And it could free us up to do more high quality recharge, but also more time in our best brain states, doing the kind of clever thinking that makes us feel good about ourselves and moves us forwards and progresses us. And I feel like now in 2026, it's going to be the year where more and more people realize that. So this technology, I believe, can be a massive force for good. And I hope that if that hasn't connected with you before, that you're starting to see what I mean. We also have to be completely realistic. Businesses have a fiduciary responsibility to make money. That is their primary objective, legal objective to their shareholders. So if they can do things cheaper and faster, they will. They're not going to blink about making lots of people redundant. But what I also see is is that the AI era gives us the opportunity to do whatever we want to do. We can create a business from scratch because literally most of the things that we would have had to found difficult if we were previously going to create a business would have been we'd have had to pay quite a lot of money to get a consultant and an expert to help us. This is where the AI technology comes in. So the opportunities this technology creates are massive, but it's not just about having AI skills. And I'm hearing this same dogmatic perspective from people now, time and time again. Like, yes, but it hallucinates. If you're thinking in that way, you're thinking about it the wrong way. AI is a tool that you can use to get things done faster and more effectively. Will it make mistakes? Yes, it will. Does that mean that it isn't a great tool? No, it doesn't. Humans make far more mistakes and hallucinate far more than AI does. You always have to be 100% accountable for the work that AI is producing. That means you've got to fact check it. You've got to make sure that you're comfortable with the information that it's giving you. So, and then other people are saying, well, what if I get caught out using AI? What if I send an email that has an M dash in it, which people call a long hyphen? That's okay. And that's actually the correct punctuation as well, by the way. So AI is improving people's punctuation. I'd be far less concerned about someone knowing I'm using AI, and be far more concerned about it being used to replace me because the work that I'm doing is replaceable. So I want to build the habits to allow me to do the work to do work every day that isn't replaceable by AI. That is the key, and it's completely achievable. And when you're doing that kind of work every day, that's what actually makes you feel good about yourself because, happiness is a three-part equation. It's getting your brain working really well. It's letting your hair down, doing some things you enjoy, but it's also delaying short-term gratification, rolling your sleeves up, doing things that are difficult. Because when you do that and you look back at the end of the day, you can see how much great work you've done and how much progress you've made. And that three-part equation is the components are harder and harder to get in the world that we live in because it's harder to get your brain working well. It's harder to get into the right brain states to do the kind of high impact thinking that we need. But AI really helps us because we can outsource all of that busy medium charge stuff, which frees us up to do the kind of things that we need to do to, first of all, recharge our brain and then consistently get into those high charge brain states. So I hope I'm not laboring the point here, but I just want to hammer it home that we are going to see more and more of these articles and these stories and these data points that show us how disruptive AI is being and the fact that it is displacing humans. But I think this is an opportunity. And the key to unlocking that opportunity is improving your brain state intelligence. So if you've got a copy of Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution, read it. If you've read it, read it again. If you haven't got a copy, get a copy because it's there. We've written, the guide. And if you want expert help in supporting you, putting this into practice, that's why we have 6 Habits Live. That's why we have one-to-one coaching. And if you want to go even further and set up your own business or just get absolute mastery, that's why we're training people to become certified habit mechanic coaches. So use the headlines as motivation to do something different is the way that I would think about it. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I think you can look at articles like this and get discouraged. I appreciate that the last 10 years or so, a lot of people have found uh, very discombobulating, and they sort of see AI as yet another thing in a long list that makes them worried about the world and their future. Whatever, and then some people are very optimistic about it. wherever you are on the scale between those two positions, or maybe you see it both ways, the thing to do is set about, well, what am I going to do? What's within my control to actually put myself in the best position to benefit, for my family to benefit, for the people I care about to benefit, for the things I care about to benefit. And so taking this approach, working with us is the way to do that. So whether you are, reading this article and it makes your heart sink, or you're reading this article and it aligns with what you think already, the answer's still the same. Let's get going. Let's get doing something about it.
Yeah. So, and from our perspective, the reason that we wrote The Habit Mechanic and Train Your Brain for That Revolution is because they are the manuals, they are the playbooks. So if you don't ever want to go any further than the book, then it's just, that's fine. We're not trying to compel you to work with us. We're just saying that we are here to help, and that includes this podcast and it includes the books. Just one thing that when I was looking at the Anthropic article, I just came across a study from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, the world's most famous technology university. And this was published in November, which I haven't read the study yet, but the headline is a study by MIT in November found that AI can already do the job of 11.7% of the US labor market, saving up to 1.2 trillion in wages across finance, healthcare, and other professional services. So again, this is not that if the tech doesn't develop any further, it can already do lots of what humans currently get paid for. But here's the other thing. It also means that these businesses can allocate more of their resources to creating the next product, to getting into a different sector, to do all those things that we want to do, all that strategic work businesses talk about. But they can't do that unless they have people that can do the things AI can't, which can only be done in high charge brain states. So I don't want to labor the point, but I just think that study is really, really interesting because you get to the point where the data is undisputable. So that shouldn't be a barrier anymore for taking action. So he covered a lot of ground there. The January 2026, I think, has been the most stark in terms of the impact that AI is going to have on our society. And we are living through a unique, I use that word very deliberately. Something is either unique or it's not. It can't be quite unique. This is unique. And it can all sound rather scary, but I guarantee you it can be the biggest opportunity that you've ever had to improve your health, your happiness, and your performance. And we've got you covered. That's why we wrote Train Your Brain for the AI Revolution. That's why we wrote The Habit Mechanic. And if you want to go further, we're here to support you as well. One of the things I'm really excited about is that we're now doing a live session every week as part of 6 Habits Live, where we're going into this in real time with real people, real humans, working with real humans. And I know many people benefit much more from that kind of format than just reading a book. So if that's of interest, you'll hear more and more about 6 Habits Live. So I just want to say thanks to Andrew for your precious time. Thanks to everyone for listening. And remember, you're only ever one brain state habit away. Thanks for listening to the Habit Mechanic podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe and tell someone else about one of the ideas or insights that you found most interesting.